Bring the cat back.
We'll just take it from where we're at.
And I was being so careful with what I said.
And I wasn't, so.
I'm sorry, Chip, did you say something?
Can't hear you, Shel.
Well, that killed the conversation, didn't it?
Yeah.
And now that everybody's conscious of being recorded.
Right. Yes. Well, I seem to be fundamentally incapable of being careful of what I say, which is why I don't work in a corporation.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I used to be like that, Sally. Then I did work for corporations, and boy, that was painful.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I was an academic, and then I got sick, and I was clearly unemployable, and I've only become less employable the longer I've been self-employed.
Good to know how that curve goes. Should I ever become self-employed?
Well, I mean, you know, Shel managed to make the transition. How long had you been working for yourself when you?
21 years. And I'm very happy I made the transition for a number of reasons. And here I am back in my home office, just like nothing ever changed. I have one client.
Yes, except for the steady salary.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a pretty important change.
Yeah, and then the benefits have got to be nice.
Benefits are great, especially right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just about 5 minutes before I started the Zoom, I got back from my radiation session. So, how are things going with that, Shel?
You look well.
Oh, thanks. I feel great.
Yeah.
You know, and there are no side effects, and it's painless, and you know, just lie there for 15 minutes while this thing revolves around me, and get dressed and leave. It's a major hassle from a scheduling standpoint, and disruptive to the day. You know, it's 20 minutes to get there.
Right, but at least it's not making you horribly sick, so that it continues to be disruptive after you get back.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what would make me horribly sick is if I had to pay for this myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shel, you're looking younger, trimmer, and sexier than you.
Oh.
Shel, I think you need a new prescription. It's
Your glasses.
Well, it's Zoom's wonderful.
It's this filter I have here.
Yeah, wonderful touch up your appearance filter.
It's the modern Dorian Gray. I have an image aging on Zoom.
Right. You have a portrait in the attic.
But I was going to say I've been working on the return to work communication plan, and I was on the IABC Fellows call yesterday. This isn't Circle of Fellows. This is just something we do once a month where as many fellows as are available will jump on. I think we had about 20 on the call yesterday. But Neil Griffiths in the UK was saying that somebody told him, and he embraced this, don't call it return to work because we've been working. We've just been working from home. Call it return to workplace.
Right.
And I was like, oh, God, that's great.
Yes, right.
Nip it in the bud now because his social distancing is not, we're not socially distant. We're physically distancing.
That's right.
So let's not get this other thing.
It's not the same.
Off and running. So. Yeah,
yes,
but
I mean, we're very social at a distance.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, Sally! Your entire couch is bouncing around.
That's my laptop.
Is that an earthquake?
I was going to say that, or she's got like amusement rides there.
No. It's just that I work on a laptop because I'm in a chaise lounge, and the fans kicked in, so I thought I needed to better adjust it to make sure that nothing is blocked. Anyway, the fans on this machine sound approximately like a rocket launching.
If the picture behind you had moved, I would have looked around to see if the Earth was
right.
No, it's just
yes, it is. It is. Yes, it's not a live feed from the park.
So, is anybody finding that this return to workplace, which I think is a good way of looking at it, is resulting in looking more closely, or maybe even reevaluating the company's I don't want to say core, but their purpose, let's say, or anything around that, using this as an opportunity, because the workplace will be different going forward.
If anything with us, because I'm at a university, it's sharpening it, because we're talking about if students are back on campus and how do we construct classrooms in a different way. One of the things that keeps being said over and over is, and how many employees don't have to be here to serve them, which would be like me and my team, the team I'm part of, arguably don't need to be there at all most of the time. So it's going to be very interesting to see how many people are returning to our buildings.
I think companies everywhere are going to be having those debates, I think. I mean, here in the UK, they're just starting, because we're currently in expectation mode to hear what the government's going to be telling us at the weekend on the post-lockdown, what's going to be happening. A lot of speculation. I'm seeing comments on social networks, mostly from people literally saying, okay, now's the time when people are going to be questioning why we have these expensive offices. The reality, though, and that's what the focus is on, but the reality is that, let's not forget, there's a whole ton of people whose jobs are such they cannot work from home.
Right.
Like if you're a machine operator in a factory, what are they going to do? Bring the machine, bring the robot to your house? You'll need to still do those things. So this is a start of
what they're going to do is enable the robot to work without you and let you go.
There's the trick, Sally. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, that does. That's evolution for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Certainly our situation, superintendents can't do their job if they're not on the project site.
Right.
So, we're working through what we do if we have a superintendent who's not comfortable returning. They have to, right? Yeah. But we have groups that work in bullpens, the pre-con and estimating groups for our subs, which would be concrete, drywall, and carpentry. And the word is that they've been more productive working from home than they were in the bullpen, because there are fewer distractions.
Right.
But the executives are not there yet with saying, well, why don't we just continue to have them work from home? There's still that mentality in this very old-fashioned industry that they have to be there. So, they're talking about some remote work, but they're not looking at a policy that says there are jobs that can just work remotely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges, though,
I hope they will get there.
But I think one of the challenges is that some of these jobs can be done from home, but not everybody's personal work from home situation is conducive to it. So even once we get out of this and schools and daycares and such reopen, there's still that period of time after school. And so parents may have challenges. Younger people, I know a lot of times when they're working in cities, have roommates, and it's very difficult for them to work from home too. So I think we need to be careful that we don't think, even because a job can be done at home, that it's practical.
Right. I mean, not everybody can do it from home, or, is it a situation where if you were going to work without coming into the office, you'd have to be in, a co-working space or someplace that was not at home? Because I have heard from a lot of colleagues and there's many people I know who were already working from home, but they didn't have their spouse and kids at home all the time. Right. And so it's been disruptive in spite of their at least having a home office set up.
I talk to people
huge adjustments.
Yeah, I talk to people at my company who just cannot wait to get back to an office. They don't have a home office. So they're set up on the kitchen table, or, with the kids running around.
I mean, this is going to take a significant amount of time to work through what works in many organizations, and everyone will be slightly different. But I don't know what it's like in anywhere in the US in this same context. Here in the UK, a smaller country, the talk more than anything right now is being prepared for returning to work or to the workplace, and the issues to address regarding what do we do if everyone reverts simply to, hey, the old rush hour again. And people are accustomed now to not doing that. So the government is proposing some ideas, which makes sense to me, to, stagger the start time. So you end up spreading it out. I mean, that's a mega shift for people. So I wouldn't be surprised if this time next year, this is still being worked through, and you're still looking at this transitional time where some people are at home still, can't wait to get back to work, but they can't, or companies have gone to the wall. There's lots of bad news coming out on the economy that is going to hit us around September, I'm sure, companies shutting down and stuff like that. So it's total upside down time for at least a year, if not more, I would say.
I wonder what new jobs are going to be created because of this.
Yeah.
When they people get back to work, there's going to be employers are going to have to figure out, should we offer daycare for more of our employees? And there's going to be whole new daycare options and staggered times, like you just said. There's going to be new jobs created because of this.
Yeah, I think I heard in Germany, I want to say it was Germany, what they've done is taken people who are out of work and trained them in the testing. And they've created this fleet. They'll send these to the homes to do testing. And they wear the uniform, and so they're all employed by the government to go out and do tests at people's homes, and getting paid for it. So there's all kinds of. I mean, that reminds me a little bit of New Deal stuff, right? The Works Projects Administration, the CCC, but I think you're right, Bill. I think there's going to be new industries arise out of this.
I also think there's going to be
I think people will also look at the.
Go, Jeff. And then
I was just going to say, Chris, that it does give the opportunity to reevaluate about a month before the whole COVID stuff. So let's say mid-January or early February, my company announced that the 2 Toronto offices would consolidate into another office, and then it turned out it was only going to be about 70% of the space. And we all thought, well, how could that be? Right now, there's a cubicle or an office for everybody, and we're pretty much at capacity. And the managing director said, have you walked around our offices lately? Take a look. And it's true, most people were not in the office. Now, we're a professional services firm, so there's people in meetings with clients, there's people working from home and all that stuff. So we didn't actually need all that space anyhow. And I think maybe this crisis now is kind of a catalyst to recognize, hey, we do have to rethink real estate. People weren't there anyhow, or you could work from home, or you could have a shared space, and you don't need a dedicated spot. And therefore, real estate costs should go down, and you think there would be a little bit more of a glut of real estate in the future.
Right.
I mean, that conversation is here in the UK as well at the moment, actually, where it's driven a lot by the current talk from those who are in charge of making sure we're all safe, i.e. the government, that social distancing, the whole notion of hot desking, remember that phrase from the late 90s?
Oh, yes. Gone. And there's gone. People are going to worry about the hygiene issue.
But the way in which what you've just described, Jeff, the kind of workplace you've described, probably doesn't have a future, in which case the drivers are on an organization to downsize the physical spaces they work in, and that therefore means likely that some employees are going to be cut as a result of that, as they redesign the workplace. It's complex.
Well, there's a cultural issue with redesigning. So in our case, the announcement was, we're not true hoteling. It's like large areas. So we're not necessarily going to have our own office anymore. But you could see here in my home office, I have my own personalized, stuff in the background. I won't have pictures of my kids or things posted to a wall, because I'm going to leave every day. And I do wonder, what does that do for engagement and feeling a sense of belonging in the place if I can't personalize it?
You're a transient in your own company.
Right.
Yes, I am.
And I left Mercer in 1990 as they were transitioning to hoteling. They had gone around and looked at the empty offices and said, why are we paying for all of this? This is ridiculous. So, from a financial standpoint, it makes sense. You're supposed to be out with clients. And how much time are you really supposed to be spending? You mentioned
joining Mercer, leaving Mercer in 1990. I joined Mercer in 1990.
I remember that.
And what about when it's more than desk photos, which I'm not dismissing desk photos because I like mine, but I have an ergonomic chair, which has made a huge difference in my back for when I'm at work. And I've got a standing desk. And if I'm hoteling, how do I get my chair?
What's hoteling?
And and
you come in, you find an empty space, and jack your laptop into
Oh,
it.
they still call that hot desking here. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
right.
Right. And the thing is, if you were actually at a hotel, you might not be able to decorate it, but you're not going to have like other people, walk in and find other people in your room.
Yeah.
Actually, I've done that before.
We had somebody walk into our room once that they'd given them the wrong key.
Yeah, so I walked into someone else's room.
So awkward.
Trust me, very awkward. But the hotel upgraded me. I'm like, you should probably be upgrading them, not me. But that's just a thought.
Yeah.
But another issue around that is sorry, I'm just losing my train of thought.
So let me see if this works. I just want to experiment here. Hey, Jesse, you a good boy? Nah, it doesn't.
Funk.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
that was a Shel joke. Behind me is my not always loyal companion Jesse, and
that's funny.
he just celebrated 2 years old, and now he thinks that he can go out on his own and have a good time without supervision. We disagree.
I was gonna say just that
Currently sleeping off
there might be an
party. What was that?
Go ahead,
I
John.
was just gonna say there might be an argument to be made that the hoteling that reduces productivity because people will wear headphones. They don't want to be, well, maybe not reduce productivity. I'll say reduce interaction. Like the irony is,
there've been studies
we
done
can sit
showing
where we
that
want with other people, but if everyone's just focused and then you don't want to interrupt them.
Right.
And that's not just hoteling, that's also open office.
Yeah, that open
Exactly.
offices lead to less interaction because
Although
everyone's shutting each other out to
I have read
concentrate.
probably 5 articles suggesting that all of this is going to be the end of the open office.
Yeah, I've read those too. I think that's probably true on a large scale, anyway.
Although, the companies that have them, it's going to take time to transition from them. We just moved into ours a year ago.
But
that's
it doesn't
not
mean
necessarily trivial.
Right. It doesn't mean that transitioning back to lots of private offices with doors closed. It's going to transition to people working at home.
Yeah.
Right. Or you just put plexiglass walls up throughout all the.
Yeah, because you need those screens to protect you from.
Cubicleize your open office.
God, heaven forbid that.
So what is going to be the perk value of an office with a door in the future? That used to be like, that was a big deal for some places, and finally actually got to an office, and now it's like work from home even better than having an office, like some of those old, and then there's going to be, as we were talking, the old school view of things where, the corner office was a big deal if you could get up to there, and then you can have other people, different perceptions.
Yes. How are people going to recognize your status?
Exactly. Right. Status is not going to be designated by your office necessarily.
Probably by your Zoom background in that case. Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I mean, it seems silly, and yet, I was talking to the community team that manages WordCamps, which have all gone virtual, and I'm like, wait, what about swag? How do you handle swag for virtual conferences that especially developers, like every conference you go to, you have to get a sticker and put it on your laptop.
Right. You get a digital sticker for Instagram or whatever it might be, because that's something we're doing, because we do a lot of physical events, none of which are happening, and many of them have moved into virtual. And this has been one of the hot topics for the event organizers.
Right.
So we're designing digital stickers. Some people love them, others don't. They want the old ones. Well, you can't have the old ones. So
right. Well, I mean, I made a suggestion that what they do instead of each conference having stickers to give out to everybody, and most of them do T-shirts also, which just seem completely logistically impossible, but that that the stickers would all go to Central, and when it was possible to hold meetups again, you would send a chunk of mixed stickers to each meetup organizer to distribute to the meetup members when they were, able to meet again. Because God knows, I'm not going to individually email anything to the 1,000+ members of my meetup on my dime.
Well, here's an idea for some stickers. This is something that Zoom
there you
backgrounds
go.
for physical stickers that we give out on things like this for events. And people love these, but I found that people love this, which is a photo of the stickers. If you got an Instagram
I like
account,
that. I like that. That's a, I mean, it is as silly as it seems.
Right.
If you can email them to the people who register, and then they can, because it's like, yeah, photos or it didn't happen.
right, and they can do it on desktop backgrounds, whatever. They can also get the stickers if they ask, and we will mail them, but that's not scalable at all. So I think the notion of digital stickers isn't going to replace physical. I mean, people stick these on the laptops; they love it, and it's
Yes,
very
exactly.
engaging and social, and it builds community and it connects people. So the next best thing, I guess, is in my mind, is something like this: not a photo, but the digital stickers that you can use in your Instagram, on other digital channels that you might use. So that's something that you're going to see a lot more of. I mean, look at what's happened already with things like face masks and stuff like that. If anyone would like a sticker, by the way, just send me an email. I'll send you one.
I remember it could have been the first time I met you, Shel, at an IABC event where we used to have the badges, and you had all the different
with all the ribbons,
like the general. And I remember thinking, oh, this guy must be important. He has all the ribbons.
I remember that IBC was like the status of how long the ribbon was down your chest to your legs.
Yeah.
I think Ned Lundquist was the first one to bring his own badge, his own ribbon for his Job of the Week newsletter. It was just a JOTW, and then IABC District 6 the next year came in with Joy of
Joy
Six.
of Six.
Yeah, and it just exploded after that. Now you get dancing task force and
dancing interest group.
Yeah. Dancing interest group. That's right. So, you see people with these long flowing sets of ribbons and 90% of them
people
are
like
bogus.
to demonstrate that they're part of something.
They do.
There'd be parties where you'd sit and you'd swap like people swap stickers, you'd swap ribbons, you'd have, ribbon envy.
I'll be right with y'all.
There'd be all kinds of stuff that crops up here.
So guys, I got to leave because I've reached my Zoom limit for the day and I have to drop off the call now. So
you're on a Zoom diet.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of my Zoom fatigue management. It's working quite well. So look forward to being back next week.
All right. See you then.
Bye for now.
See you, Neville.
Say bye to Shel for me. See you guys.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
And I'm going to have to leave in 5 minutes for another meeting, but I'm enjoying this. Chris, while you're there, speaking about status, I remember when I was, so you're an academic, aren't you?
I work in a university, yeah. So I'm not personally an academic, but I work for DePaul University.
Okay, yes. So I remember when I was in school, the professor talked about status, and what he said was the full-time professors and the tenured ones, you could tell they have more status because they will bring a coffee mug into the classroom and the others won't. And that just almost subconsciously implied that they have an office to go to on campus where they could get their coffee with their mug. And the rest of the people who had their can of Coke or whatever, they didn't have an office. So that was the big status thing, whether or not you had a mug as a professor.
I don't know. When I was in grad school, there was a sort of lounge area that everybody used. And so you could keep coffee mugs there. So I think they had to do other things to indicate their status. But
there are, I think, whatever corporate culture you have, there are little subtle symbols of status beyond the office, but you're in person, you're present to see them. So it's an interesting implication if we're working remotely. What are the status ramifications? What becomes a new status symbol?
Right, and I think it may be tied psychically to that issue that employers often seem to have of, well, but if they're at home, how do we know they're working?
Right. Well, you could look at how much work I got done for you today.
Well, yeah,
right,
output might have something to do with it.
Did the job get done? Yeah, then I don't really. I used to have those conversations. I worked for part-time for a long time so I could be home when my kids got home from school. And my boss was always saying that she never felt like she was paying me fairly because I was paid hourly, but I'd been there a long time and I was fast. So she'd give me something and it'd be back on her desk in 20 minutes. And she's like, if I gave that to someone else, it'd take them an hour and a half. I feel like I should be paying you by the piecework that you got done instead of the time you took to do it.
Well, yeah, there comes a point where you will under earn if you bill hourly.
Yeah, so how do you change this whole clock punching mentality where you were basically on a manufacturing line for X hours and they could supervise you and see that you were there, and that's how the whole pay structure is set up, instead of here was your task, did you do it, did you find a way to make it better? So a little incentive there because you went above and beyond, or you found something new to go with it, and we don't incent work that way, and maybe this will help push us to think.
I mean, I know consultants who basically do value-based pricing. They work out with the client, well, what's it going to be worth to you if this gets accomplished? But that's not easy to do in every situation. I also think a company is more willing to pay a consultant that once than to try to pay somebody that much ongoing, because inevitably they will have to pay them more.
Yeah.
Well, but keep in mind too that those kinds of pricing structures involve risk as well. So that if you're quick and get it done fast, you get rewarded. But if it takes you longer, you eat it. And so we certainly don't ask that of employees, right? So it does make some sense.
You have to be able to, you have to be pretty confident about what you can do. And one reason I have avoided trying it very often is that I am terrible at estimating, how long something is actually going to take me.
Right.
It's like, oh, heck, I am now making $2 an hour to do this thing because.
Right. But I guess, as employees, if an employee says, well, who cares whether it took me an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours to do this, I did what you asked me to do. The reality is the employer is buying a bucket of hours from most employees. And so if you can do it quicker, they want to be able to give you more tasks because you're not taking on any additional risk. Yeah. If I give you a task and it takes you longer than we thought to do it, it's not like you'll just keep working beyond the 40 hours a week in most cases to do it. Now, some of us will, obviously, but a lot of roles, that's not the case. So I think that there needs to be, there does need to be an understanding of the employer of how long it's taking employees to do things.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's worth tracking your time no matter how you bill.
Thank you.
Bye, Jeff.
Bye, Jeff.
Bye, Jeff.
Hey,
good to see
take
you.
it easy, Jeff. Good to see you.
I've been in a home office for over 20 years, and when I own my own agency, I got most of my work done at home before going in and pretending to manage others. And I've also been an advocate of things that could separate us, like social media, for example. And my conclusion after all of this is something is lost when you lose the face-to-face meeting. You may gain efficiency, you may gain profits, but it's right now, here we are, we're an interesting group, we're having a good time under the circumstances, but the energy would be different, the way we communicate would be different if we were all doing this at a round table somewhere or in somebody's living room.
In other words, you don't feel like a team.
Yeah,
I think you can feel like a team, but it is different to be somewhere in person.
Nothing like a face-to-face meeting.
Yes, we've got better approximations than we used to, but it isn't the same. And I don't think anybody wants to get to a place where you never do anything in person.
Have you spoken to any kids who are doing their lessons from home on Zoom?
Yeah, I
have a granddaughter that is currently being taught by my wife right now as we talk. And I can tell you one of the big problems is that she misses her classmates or, young people, because she can't associate with them now. And we were informed by her dad that next week they're going to start daycare up again. Yes. So at least that time she'll be able to associate with kids her own age. And that's essential. That's essential for child development.
My granddaughter in San Diego has just gone back to daycare, and my daughter sent a picture of her, and this is one very happy little girl to be back with her friends. And I also heard that even high school students and college students, it's harder to stay focused on what's on the screen than it is somebody in a classroom. Yeah. you know, I don't know if any of you got the invitation to register for the IABC conference. It's going to be a virtual conference, and it's, I think, $895 for non-members, something like $695, I think, for members,
yeah.
Which is way cheaper than it would be to go to the one they had planned in Chicago, plus no travel and hotel. But am I going to be able to sit in front of my computer for the entire day, bouncing to different breakout sessions? And
you have to structure it differently. I mean, they're working on the Smashing Magazine people have conferences in person with workshops and a lot of stuff, and they had to well, how are we going to do this? Because you can't make somebody just sit there like all day, certainly not without breaks. Most of the suggestions I've seen have basically said, you know, divide it over more days so that you are not, you know, that you're not extending people beyond where they were. I did one of these workshops and it actually worked out very well. They had it set up with multiple systems so that there was like a Google Doc you could write your questions in, and there was a Slack channel, and there was a presenter, and the presenter had also shared a bunch of things so you could do the work along with the presenter who was talking to you.
At the same time, I have never gone to a physical conference just for the purpose of content.
Yeah.
No, you go for the social, and we did some social, but it's not, you won't get it back, but
and you know what my grandkids tell me about school over Zoom? The fun's gone. There's no fun. They can't giggle behind the teacher's back. They don't have horseplay at recess. They don't have all the things that we remember back about our childhood. It wasn't Mrs. Doran. Oh, let's not talk about her. She was terrible. Mrs. Harrington in third grade. It was what we did at recess. It was the day that I almost caught the ball, but it hit me on the forehead, and I was known as a lousy athlete forevermore. We lose things that make us who we are. And I've said this after 25 years of walking around saying how great it's going to be. And I began with the dream of blogs, and now we have Facebook and Twitter, which isn't exactly what the two Shels were advocating 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's when you separate people from people, we lose something. And I don't think that is going to be fixable with technology. And when we make business decisions, if we make them just on the economic models, I think we are going to lose things that we now, in our business, we call company culture. Yeah. But it's the fun of it. It's the connection of it. It's the memorable part of it. And we're going to lose it.
Well, one of the things that I've been working really hard on in my job is maintaining social connections.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my challenges even before this is that it's a very siloed company. It's a very siloed industry. If you're building a building and you have the project team in the trailer or the big room, they're not connected to other project teams, and they're not really connected to corporate. They're like their own little company, and there is no communication between them. So trying to get project engineers to form a group to talk to each other across those boundaries has been something I've been trying to do. And it's gotten easier with this crisis because there is this hunger for that connectivity, and people are more willing to do it. They're not saying, oh, I'm too busy. So yeah, maybe some good will come out of this, and we'll be able to ventilate those silos.
We cheated. We visited friends 2 nights ago. Please don't tell the police. But we just said, screw it. They're healthy. We're healthy. We'll take the risk. And we went and visited. We agreed we'd stay 6 feet apart from each other. That lasted almost 3 minutes. We agreed no handshakes, no hugging. We hugged, and then no handshakes. We're too good of friends. But there were hugs exchanged. I petted their dog, they petted my dog. Our 2 dogs socially interacted with all kinds of physical excitement. And we, you know, it was just a visit to neighbors, but it was the most fun we've had in 5 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
I'm on the phone to the police right now.
I'm sitting further away from my computer because of this.
You do remember this is being recorded and published, right, Shel?
Of course, this was a forward-thinking statement of a theoretical situation.
It was a hypothetical.
right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's a what if.
Also, so here's my microcosm to compliment Shel. So my college freshman took his last final yesterday, finished about 1 o'clock, came into the kitchen and said, I need a high five. Actually, I need about 20. And I'm like, okay, you know, and he's like, I just finished the semester and the energy in this house is dead, right? I didn't finish anything, right? And it's that sense of being part of something altogether that we've all been starved from.
Yeah.
And you know, he's done okay, but he's felt not being there. And I remember finishing a semester or even a final and the exuberation as you pour out into the hallway that at least that sucker's behind you. And it's like, he doesn't have any of that now. And he doesn't have anybody to celebrate with, you know, because the friends that he's hanging with are at different colleges and different schedules. So like he doesn't, other than like he's got his former roommate in California in a different, 2-3 time zones away. So yeah, so there's something that's missing right now in this scenario.
We've got a few journalists or part-time journalists, a sort of journalists, a social journalist here. I've never done an online interview, and I've done them all over the world, and I've been doing them since Skype was something new and exciting.
Yeah.
And you get more sitting face to face with a person than you do on video. You get message from video. You get what communications professionals counsel people to say on video. But you don't notice the fidgeting of the hands or the eye shifting or the touching of the face or the eyebrow. You don't notice all these little things that give you certain texture to the conversation. You can't do it here. The closest we can get is look like this. I can get closer to you until I get out of focus. But that's not like being really face to face. It will never be that way. I talk to my grandkids on Zoom, and that's wonderful because they live in Texas and Oregon. I can't see them anyway. But all I really want to do is hug them, and I want to see them wrestling and giggling and tickling each other on the floor. And I'm not going to get that here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that you lose out on the in-person stuff. But what I will say is that if coming out of this we end up doing more video instead of just audio when we're not able to be in person, I think that's a win because their video is clearly better. I mean, doing this as a conference call would be miserable.
Chip, I haven't seen you live in 20 years. I forgot how roly-poly and lovable you look. You're shorter than me.
But it's taken effort to get people to turn the video on in these calls initially. They're not comfortable having their face on the screen or seeing their own face on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, you can hide yourself in Zoom. And I tell people, do that. If you're really self-conscious or you're distracted by seeing yourself, you can hide your own video and you won't have to think about it as much. But yeah, as I've said to people, look, if I came to your office, would you put a bag over your head?
And if I called you on the phone, you wouldn't see me.
So yeah, I mean, people are self-conscious in a way that they're not in person if they aren't used to it. And I suspect my perspective may be a little warped because I had to get used to conducting most of my life at a distance decades ago because I was too sick to go out much of the time. And as I was reminded I follow a lot of disability activists on Twitter, as I was reminded by somebody, look, if you're disabled, a wheelchair is liberation.
Yeah.
Yep. So, it isn't the same, but it's darn good that it's actually there. This would have been pretty miserable to try to do this in 1918.
Sally, would you mind sharing why you're disabled?
I got myalgic encephalomyelitis when I was 24.
Right.
And, you know, I'm not as sick now because I take buckets of meds and they help, but I still go through periods of being, you know, barely able to move from the bed to the couch for 6 weeks, which is hence the unemployable thing.
Yeah.
But ideal for work from home.
Well, you know, working from home is the only way that it's possible to actually work. So, you know, it is a lifesaver to have the technology, and you know, it doesn't give you everything you have, but it gives you enough to make something, you know, worthwhile out of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Having only seen you in this frame, you look great.
Oh yeah, if I had $1 for everybody who'd ever told me I didn't look sick, I could have retired years ago.
Yeah, it's like if you know, COVID aside, you know, I don't feel well. Well, feel your forehead. You don't have a fever. You must be fine.
Oh yeah, well that's the
like every illness is accompanied by fever.
Right. Well, yeah, lots of them are, but I don't get fevers. I've had strep throat and pleurisy and influenza B and not had a fever. And, you know, the doctors don't think I'm sick until they do a test.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you know, the stat at DePaul with our Office for Students with Disabilities is that 70% of the students who are registered with that office, you would not know that they had a disability by looking at them. They're not in a wheelchair or using an assistive device of any kind. So, you know, it's what somebody else's experience is.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's not always immediately obvious.
Yeah.
But people have these stereotypes about, you know, what disabled looks like.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, everyone, it's 11 and I have an 11 o'clock call. So
yes,
bye, Shel. Thanks for doing these.
Need to get back to work. Great to see everybody.
Hope to see everybody next week. I
Yeah.
really look forward to it.
And stay healthy.
All right.
All right,
Bye-bye.
you as well.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.